I'm going fishing. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, going to Canada. 12-hour drive. Then there's that hour and a half as we fly a float plane to this remote wilderness area. They drop us off, and we're out there for 7 days. No cell phones, no internet. Just us and my good friends, 14 of them. Before an epic trip like this, I think back to when it all started and the lessons I've learned. When I was a little boy, just 5 years old, my dad was taking me fishing with his good friend. We were fishing off a dock on the Mississippi River. And my dad and his buddy would sit down on the dock, and they were catching fish. And here I'm standing up in the dock, and I have that bright orange life jacket, that huge overstuffed, up tight to your neck. And I'm standing in the dock, and I get tired because I wasn't catching fish, and I'd sit down, and my dad would bark at me, "No, Jeff, stand up." Then I'd sneak away, and I'd sit down, and then it happened. I get yanked off the dock by a big fish. My dad tells the story that he looked over and down, saw an orange life jacket. In one swoop, he pulled me up. I come back with the story, "Dad, just a couple more seconds, I would have had him." That was my initiation. And that was one of the lessons I learned, is to listen to your father when it comes to fishing. It took me a while to overcome my fear of water. And it took me a while to overcome my fear of public speaking. But I've made that jump. One of the neat things about fishing is you meet so many interesting people. My partner that I'll be spending most of the 7 days with, this gentleman, his name is Mike. I met him when I was working at Mayo. This is the most trustworthy individual you could ask for. But when we get up into the wilderness, away from the people, you get a little bit of the wild side. And Mike morphs into a different person. I've learned that he likes costumes. He brings unique costumes to every trip. One year he had a wrestler's mask, the old style Mexican wrestlers with stars in the eyes. And the story was that he stripped down to his underwear and ran into the cabin with the wrestler's mask. Another year, he wore a full Sasquatch suit and would sneak over rocks looking at people. Last year, he brought a costume and he's dressed as an elf. So I'm looking forward to what Mike is going to wear this year. It's always a hoot, the people you meet. Now, I also do some guiding. I guide down the Mississippi River, and occasionally I get an individual that really is kind of down and out, a little down on his luck. And one individual, his name was Brian. He goes, "Jeff, I cannot catch fish. I've hired very expensive guides. Not only did I not catch fish, everyone in that boat didn't catch fish." He just really felt there was a cloud over him. And I remember that morning when I took him out, I said, "Eric, today is going to be, Brian, today is going to be," you're next, Eric. "Brian, today is going to be an epic day, epic." And he'd shake his head. I'd keep reminding him, "Today is going to be an epic day." As he came into my boat, we went out. I said, "Brian," I kept trying to keep him positive. And then it happened. In 15 minutes, Eric had his first walleye. Within an hour, we had 4 fish. I was fishing on the main channel of the Mississippi River. And on the main channel, there's buoys, these markers for the barges and so forth. And we were drifting by this buoy, and I was carefully moving the boat right where this hot spot was. And all of a sudden, Brian's pole bent over. I mean, it bent over. "Brian, did you catch that buoy chain by chance?" And he looked over and his eyes were huge. He says, "No, Jeff, it's moving." We fought this fish for 20 minutes. I'm wondering, what is it? What is it? And as that pole was just bent over, Brian was having a little conversation. "What kind of a pole is this? This is amazing. Where do you get these poles?" I said, Joe's. We fought and fought that fish. Finally, it started to move, and it came up. And here it was a 5-foot sturgeon. It jumped out of the water. Brian was about ready to have a heart attack. It went down, and then we fought it again and again and again. And now I pull up all the motors. I'm chasing it with my trolling motor, and it's just having its way with us. And then it jumped again, and it was almost slow motion. It did a barrel roll, and poof, the jig came out. This was an epic fish. And we sat down, and our hearts were pounding. Brian, Jeff, you're an amazing guide. Toastmasters, if you get the opportunity, get out and do some fishing, meet people, because there is a significant reward. Mr. Toastmaster.